morning. I'd like to call the Town of Naples Ordinance Review Committee meeting to order. In attendance today, we have, to my left, Craig Shackness. I'm Martina Witz. We have Larry Anton, Jason DiTucci, Kathy Tombarelli, Municipal Planner, and I think Kate Matthews, oh, she's walking in right now. Kate Matthews, Code Enforcement Officer, is joining us. We don't have any minutes.
Correct. Our owl is done in, and I don't think that they got captured, but I didn't do the minutes, so we're going to check on that.
Okay.
We don't have an owl for today either.
Okay.
We ordered a new one.
An owl is the thing that
It's
listens
the thing
to us?
okay. Yeah, so that's why we're not on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next thing is an update from Kathy Tombarelli.
Sure. All the land use ordinance passed. The closest one was LD 2003, I think, but it did pass.
Okay.
Yeah. So they all passed pretty easily, though. It wasn't like super close.
Okay.
So we're good to go on to the next round. The other update is that the memo that I shared with you that I wrote to the select board is on the agenda for June 9th.
Okay.
So we'll have more direction on what to work on next after
Okay.
the June 9th meeting.
I won't be at that one. But
Okay.
if anybody from this committee wants to attend
Yeah.
that would be great.
I
just
will
want to
attend.
also note that Mark Clement just joined us as well.
Okay. I will go to that meeting.
You're going to be at that meeting? Okay.
Yeah.
And can you just tell us again the things that are on that?
Oh gosh, I can't remember. What
Okay.
did we ask?
We
We asked about short-term rental again.
Yeah.
And then we asked about the
Cell
other
tower?
cell tower.
Did we ask about the height, or were we going to wait till after
I
comp
thought we
plan's done?
decided to wait on that
Yeah,
one.
okay, waiting on that one.
So it was the same.
I think it was some of the stuff we're working on today.
Yeah, some of it is the stuff that we're working on today, which was, because we never brought up food sovereignty or farm stand before.
Right.
Or the permits on parcels with existing NOVs.
Right.
The update for Appendix A would be a yes, because they want us to work on subdivision performance guarantees and cleaning up the subdivision ordinance.
Okay.
So I'm not super worried about that. I think they're going to be fine with us working on that.
Okay.
But the other ones are new things that we had brought up, so we just want to make sure that they're on board before we go too far down.
Makes sense. Okay, so we'll move on to old business. So the first one for that is, and it's only old business because you just brought it up briefly at the last meeting, we never really worked on it, is permits on parcels with existing NOVs, which are, NOVs stand for
Notice of violation.
Notice of Violations.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is something that we had talked about internally in our department, because when someone comes in for a permit and they already have problems with previous permits, they haven't finished them, they haven't completed them, or there's things that are in compliance, it seems like it would be better if we weren't issuing more permits, So there is provision in the state statute for that, for shoreland. And both these say the same thing, I just blew it up in bigger letters, but we thought that it might be good to add echo the language of the state somewhere in the shoreland zoning ordinance. And there seems like there's two places that should probably be added, which is 16D administration and section H5 enforcement. So if you guys are on board, what I can do is the next meeting have it literally written into the spot in shoreland where it would go, so you can read it in context. But shoreland, I think, is easy because a lot of towns do this. They echo the state statute, and it just gives us another layer of yeah, it's in our ordinance. This is why we're doing it.
Yeah, transparency and basically making it clear to people when we refer to the ordinance. They're not going to necessarily, just because obviously our ordinances are so long, so when you refer to a state statute rather than echoing it, it's kind of a
Yeah.
So I think this will just be, black and white type of information that we can say, hey, refer to our ordinance regarding this.
So tell us again, what section do you think you're going to put it into?
It's at the top of the page. Naples, 16D is administration. Somewhere in administration talking about.
So my
yeah.
question is, why would you not want to have this applicable to all?
I would like to. So the page before says add to Naples land use ordinance, section
Right.
2046. I don't think we want to add I don't think we want to go crazy in regular land use. I think we just want to say if you have an issue with the permit, you need to clear that up first. in shoreland, I think we need to
Okay.
get a little bit more in detail of what we can do if you don't do it. I think in land use, it's just kind of just to give us a foothold for, like, if someone's coming in for another site plan of whatever, and they haven't finished their last site plan, or whatever it is, it'd be nice to be able to say, hey, what's going on with this, before we issue another permit.
So are you suggesting just the stuff that you have highlighted in yellow?
It's just a thought. I think we could wordsmith it a little bit, and so I think the next round we'll probably do that. If we get the go-ahead from the select board on this particular issue, I think I'll spend the time and put it into the ordinance where I think it fits.
Okay.
And I want to echo the state language as much as possible, but it may still make it sound like Naples, right?
Right.
But I just wanted to make sure you guys were still on board before I go to the select board on June 9th.
So are you saying also with this that it would not only, if you have a violation, but if you were not complete on a previous project?
I'm not gonna say not complete, but if you're not, if it's something that's like issued 3 years ago.
Okay.
And you haven't finished it, right?
Right.
And now you want another permit, I think
Right.
it's something that the code officer should be able to say, hey, wait a minute, what happened to this one?
And then they
No.
could, you
They can
could
finish it.
deny it, and then it would go to the appeals board, and they,
Revoked, basically.
yeah,
Because they have up to a year to start
project.
projects and actually meet with us on site. And if they need an extension, I've had many people ask for extensions just because of contractors'
Right.
timing.
Then that's fine.
And
Yeah.
so we put that in the file, but that's a totally different case. Like, I can think of a couple that have been going on for longer than I've even been here, that they all of a sudden show up, but they check in once a year, and so, yeah, I think this would be beneficial.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any other comments
No.
on this?
So,
Do you need any other information? Sounds like it's good to go forward on that.
Yep, so I will check with the select board on this one and see if they're okay, and then we'll, in the next round, we'll have have it in context in the ordinance.
okay.
The next item is farm stands. We need to start to kick this around a little bit.
Yeah, and this I just pulled out, and Kate was out for 2 days, so she hasn't even seen this, so I just did it because I thought that this particular ordinance did cover a lot of things that we may not have thought about. But it's still short and sweet, it's not super long. And the farm stand definition, I think Kate had talked about maybe just saying whatever the state allows instead of going into detail, because it could change. But I just wanted to show you an example of a fairly recent ordinance from another town.
So I think one of the things we had talked about last time was that farm stands that kind of retail other items from other places.
Yeah.
Is that somehow addressed in here?
So like if they're
Something-
getting maple
Like-
syrup from somebody else?
Yeah, is that really a farm stand now, or is that a retail? I mean, at what point do you say you're not a farm stand anymore?
Yeah.
I thought,
I saw something in another ordinance, it may not
Released
have,
by the producer, operator of a farm stand
hold on.
located on land or.
Yeah, shall be located on land owned or leased by the producer or operator of the farm stand. It kind of covers that a little bit, but we could be more specific.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, what does everybody else think? I just know, I recall that we were talking about that last time. We just got this yesterday
Yeah.
afternoon. Would it be helpful to kind of just read these together
Sure.
aloud? Just go, does that
Sure.
make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Is that all right, or is that too, okay. So the definition you're proposing is for farm stand, a roadside stand not exceeding 200 square feet in floor area, selling only farm, garden, greenhouse, or nursery products, and between Labor Day and Christmas, cut Christmas trees, garlands, wreaths, and wreath material. A farm stand may not sell cannabis in any form of medical use or adult use. That's a good addition. I don't think
Yeah,
we'd have to discuss
that one's important.
Star for Kathy.
So I think the first part, we could look at the state and see, you just say echo whatever the state allows in section whatever, whatever. But let's see what they say, because I think Kate had talked about, what if the state decides that you can sell if the state says you can sell baked goods at a farm stand, then you would want to go ahead and allow that? Is that what
Well,
No,
is this
so-
impacted by what we
Yeah.
do with the food sovereignty?
So food sovereignty was kind of like a cop-out for the state, I would say.
Yeah.
Basically, they were allowing anything and everything, and it would be up to the town to kind of go into any type of lawsuits with somebody who baked something that was not great, but we also don't have the authority to go into their kitchens like the state does. So that's why I'm thinking it should be specified to state, it should be a farm stand is operated by the landowner, everything like honey or things like that, like they need to be not manufactured, but made on site from that particular location. I'm sure there's some language out there somewhere that we can do that without any type of baked goods. Would be great, just
Without
because.
baked goods.
Yeah, so, where they use a kitchen to, I know like pickling is a little bit different. But I'm sure something is out there where it just says farm stand is basically, you don't really do any type of processing to it rather than just selling it.
Well,
So
what about someone with goats and has goat cheese?
So there's a different thing for the state that has to be approved, and that's another thing, that's why we gotta get the state information regarding dairy product and pickling products. But baking in a kitchen is a totally different process than, milk or anything like that. That's still covered by the state in a certain way. But baking them, that's,
so honey, maple syrup?
things like that would be fine, but
That's
like
fine.
cooking in your kitchen
Okay.
type of,
Cookies and
yep,
cakes, pies.
right.
So what does that fall under then? If we get rid of food sovereignty and we add a farm stand, what would that be?
Refer to the state statute regarding,
Okay,
basically, yeah.
so somewhere in this definition, we need to add something about for baked goods are not applicable, refer to state statute.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to name the state statute because
Yeah.
that could change, it could get repealed.
Yeah, they're doing weird stuff right now in the state.
Perishable items.
Perishable items, but is that honey and syrup too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have honey.
Yeah, yeah.
That's been-
it lasts forever, it just
If you
saw,
don't
it
open,
is,
if
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
sealed properly and you don't open
Okay,
it.
so more wordsmithing with that, but we love the last line about the cannabis. Yeah,
I just want to note that Sue Fleck just joined us, and Sue, we're going through the farm stand ordinance, and we're going to read everything out loud because we got this late, just to make sure we understand what's in here. And this is just a proposal from, I think, from Gray. It's a quote, I did read that. Okay.
it was written while I was there, so.
Okay.
Like a question about the hours,
Yeah,
dawn till dusk. Well, Christmas tree stands are always open at night.
yeah. That's a good point.
I think that it says on number 8, hours of operation shall be from sunrise to sunset. But then, Christmas, it's dark
Yeah,
at
it's dark
4:30.
Yeah.
O'clock.
So that would probably be more than 200 square feet.
Well, that's
We
floor area though,
Yeah.
that's for like a
Floor.
building, I think.
So then we might want to also think about farm stands, like maybe we shouldn't even include that, because that's going to be an outside type of situation where people come in and out. There's going to be a lot more people. Lights, the string lights
Yeah.
around.
Also temporary,
It's very temporary.
Yeah,
a month out of the year, really.
right.
They're usually
So,
part of part of a farm or some other established business, right? So I'm not sure
Yeah,
they're really a farm
usually.
stand.
yep.
I think we
And
can,
you got a question,
yeah.
if it's in the rural area,
That's the whole thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
zone,
'cause
which zones, yeah.
Yep.
So what is this leading us to, not indicating square footage, or what is this leading us to?
the square footage is good.
Oh, okay.
Exterior displays might be something we might want to think about,
think that-
especially for rural.
I'll give you an example, Chipman's Farms in Gray, that's what this was written for. So that they could have an actual permanent building, but they didn't want it to be super big because now you're starting to compete against other businesses. So they wanted it to really be a farm stand, but that doesn't mean they don't have a greenhouse with flowers hanging out, you know what I mean? I think they were talking about permanent structure, so we may want to, with display. Yeah, they do baked goods, but they go through the state for that. Yeah. So that's where I was kind of getting at, is it okay for them to sell baked goods, but now they fall under the state without the food sovereignty? So could they sell baked goods? That's what I think I'm getting at.
That's what I
Yeah.
understood the man in Augusta to say, that, I'm sorry, I came off without my package, but the man that I spoke to up there, who's in charge of the home kitchen inspection and education, said that as long as there was no food sovereignty
Yeah.
ordinance, if there was a farm stand or a bake stand or whatever, then that falls under their purview.
Yeah.
Yep, so as long as we kind of put that in there, stating that we need to, because is that yearly, Sue? Do you know if that's yearly?
I would assume, I mean, mine is yearly.
Oh, right.
Well, your license is yearly, your inspection is on complaint or
So
buy or
it
try
might-
yearly. I think it kind of depends on when they come in.
Yeah,
It seems to be what happens. We usually don't see them except for every,
right.
4 years
So
maybe.
it might be something that they have to submit with their business license, just showing that if they are doing that type of,
yeah, to get your, it's so weird, the things that you have to do. To get my food license, I don't have to show a liquor license. To get my liquor license, I have to show my food license. So I guess because you have to sell food with liquor.
right.
So,
Yeah.
I guess that we could take a look at what the requirement is for the liquor license through the state of Maine and then apply that to farm stands.
Well, we'll just do it through, the state statute according to particular baked goods, because I know that they have something somewhere, I just don't
And
have
there's
it
some
offhand.
things you can't have at a farm stand, but I don't think we have to worry about that as long as we don't have food sovereignty.
Yeah.
We allow
Right,
people to sell cookies at their farm stand. It's now the state can follow up on that kitchen.
right.
I think what we should be doing is adopting the farm stand ordinance and repealing the food sovereignty in the same question. Because the last thing you want is to have one pass and the other not, and now haven't fixed anything and made it more complicated.
Right.
So, and I think the baked goods and all that's fine, so it should say somewhere in here that anything made in your kitchen, whatever it has to be, it has to
Whatever
be,
that language
yeah.
is on the home kitchens from the state
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
throw in there and then say that that's the governing body of that.
Right, and
That.
just kind of opt out to the state at that point.
Yeah, it's-
and then
just
you
goes
wouldn't
to
have
the-
really worry about it.
And when I was speaking with him, he said that you may want to draft something up and then have your attorney take a peek at it, just to make sure that you are
covering.
clear and you're not boxing us out kind of thing.
We were gonna read through all these points,
Sure.
just
The
simply
the
about
one
the
thing about
comments.
square footage that came to mind when somebody said, is when you think of farm stand, like Hancock Farm pops into mind over in Casco, they have the square footage of their space they sell, but then you can also go out in the field and pick a flower.
Yeah.
So I think we want to be careful in our language not to
Yeah.
eliminate that. I don't know how we.
It's more of a business though, we're thinking of like little tiny mom and pop farm stands, like they're growing stuff and it's on the side of a road.
I know.
Yeah, rather than, obviously, that's gonna be a totally agricultural type of site plan with the planning board for something to that size.
I think this 200 square feet in floor area, and then we could add something and associated display, or something like, that to take care of the Christmas tree farm, for example. They're still gonna maybe have a building with cash register, maybe, and then trees outside. I think we can take care of both of those.
Okay. Section A, farm stands for the sale of farm, garden, greenhouse, and nursery products shall conform to the following standards. And then there's 10 suggested. 1, they shall be used exclusively for the sale of farm, garden, greenhouse, and nursery products.
We'll tweak that.
That right there omits kitchen
Yeah,
stuff.
so we'll
Okay.
add that.
Okay.
Yeah.
2, no farm stand shall be permitted unless such use is allowed in the underlining zoning district.
So we need to discuss what zoning districts those would be allowed in. That's a different conversation.
Yeah, okay. 3, they will be located on land owned or leased by the producer or operator of the farm stand and not within or on any public ways. That seems straightforward, I think.
Yeah.
4, the licensee must demonstrate to the code enforcement officer that there is sufficient access, parking, and maneuvering space, that the location and adequacy of approach are sufficient, probably just be approach, are sufficient, and that there is suitable and safe access for pedestrians, and that customer parking is away from the travel way and in close proximity to the farm stand.
Run-on sentence.
That's a very, so this means that there's going to obviously be some sort of code enforcement officer application for having a farm stand?
Yeah, and I think it
That
might
has
be
to-
permit,
or-
not license.
That's a
What do you-
permit.
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
Road commissioner?
that's code officer.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Which
it's not gonna be, it should be, they're gonna have to have an address already anyway to get the permit. So, no, that would be us.
Yeah,
So you
basically,
need
you're
an
just looking to make sure there's 2 or 3, someplace for people to
a
park.
pull
They're not
over.
gonna just pull
Yeah.
over on the side of the road.
Right,
Almost like a home occupancy permit.
something like that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Similar.
You could make this a non-run-on sentence just by saying, having the licensee must demonstrate to the code enforcement officer that, A, there is sufficient access, and B,
Yeah,
that
that's a
type
good
of thing.
idea.
Yeah.
Just list them out.
Yep.
It'd be easier to read.
I like that. So 4A, B, C, D, whatever it is.
5, front, rear, and side setback shall conform to those of the underlining zoning district. I guess that means everything has to be 20 feet off the line, right?
Yeah, unless we gotta talk about the zones too.
Right. 6, no farm stand shall operate within 200 feet of any fixed base retail establishment or other farm stand offering the same or substantially similar goods or services. I find this very interesting, I have to comment, just because we don't regulate
Yeah.
consumer, commercial competition among other industries, so
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah,
it's a free market, people.
I agree.
I think that's an X thing.
Yeah,
I
either
just-
on 107, I think it is, where Mayberry Farm is. I apologize, I don't know the farm next to it, but they sell too, and they've got to be, if it's 300 feet, but they're both selling agricultural products.
I think I know where this came from, and I agree, that should be nixed. Because there was a situation where it actually turned out to be mutually beneficial for the people, because they sold different stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they worked together. So,
I don't know, this just goes
against,
against everything else that we say.
un-American.
It's just not Naples.
I agree.
Okay, 7, farm stand signs. Farm stands must conform with the town of Naples sign ordinance.
Hey, why recreate the wheel? You know?
Okay,
Yeah, we already have info on what they can be in certain districts, so.
Yep.
I'm not going to comment, okay.
And,
Ow.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to read, go ahead, did you have an comment about that?
Could
Okay.
we say like exception, on number 8, could we say exception, a seasonal example, Christmas tree?
Yeah.
And could we give the approval to the code officers to say, I don't know, what else could somebody, pumpkins?
Yeah.
Maybe they want to sell pumpkins after dark, I don't know.
Yeah.
What does that say with like some of those honor system ones too? Like they have to shut the thing
Oh,
down.
yeah, that's true. Do we
that
need
little
to
Maybe
have
we
hours
should
of
just get rid
operation?
it. Yeah,
No.
just get rid of it.
No,
mean,
I don't see any
they should be able to
reason.
set their hours
I mean,
if they're not.
nobody's gonna be going by it at midnight to buy a
Right.
Christmas tree, so, or a wreath.
And that goes with the next one too, as long as they're in compliance.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Rid of that one.
Yeah.
All right, that one's next.
I agree.
Okay, noise level, no loudspeakers or unnecessary noise will be allowed on the site. Noise is required to be muffled so as not to be objectionable due to the intermittence, beat frequency, or shrillness. Well, this
I
is
know who
really
wrote that.
specific. Average dBA count resulting shall not exceed 60 dBA at any point or beyond the site.
I think this is too
Yeah.
specific.
This is too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
We don't
I mean,
enforce
it's
no
DBAs anywhere else, do we?
unnecessary.
Well,
With compliance with town
Yeah.
noise law.
Yeah, that's perfect. We don't have, so we don't have one.
State statute.
Oh, state statute.
Noise ordinance.
Must comply with the
Noise
state
must,
statute.
noise must comply with
regarding-
state.
statutes, just kind of,
Statutes.
that's all we have in
Yeah,
Naples
that's- yeah.
anyway. Okay.
Yeah, because we don't have cops.
Tell me what a
I can-
loudspeaker is.
Huh?
Say that.
Tell me what a loudspeaper is.
Yeah, that's
Is it a
subjective.
speaker that's loud?
Well, do we have a decibel meter in town?
No.
We
That-
do,
that's
but
what I
it's
said.
not calibrated, so it wouldn't even hold up in court, so.
So if you have a speaker that's not loud, and play a Christmas carol while you're selling your Christmas
Yeah.
trees.
Think about the construction guys that go out with the big
Improvist.
DeWalt speakers that are blasting them while they're doing
Well,
construction.
that's like, they're saying that their farm equipment, can't run their farm equipment on that.
Yeah.
Right, so it's like,
I think if we just say noise must comply
Yeah,
with state statute, that's
statute.
fine, because that's all.
And then if there's a complaint,
Yeah.
you can look into it.
Everything
Yeah.
is complaint driven. Okay, 10, a sufficient number of covered, I thought this was odd, metal rubbish containers shall be
I can see
provided
the person who wrote this.
at each site immediately adjacent to the farm stand to hold material. The licensee shall keep sidewalks, roadways, and other public and private spaces adjacent to the site free from
Refuge.
and
Refuse.
dust, which may be generated by the operation of the business.
Whoever wrote this was going to the Boston market or something, you know.
Right.
we
I think they
have-
were thinking people were gonna peel their corn there or something and
Yeah.
leave it there. I don't know, because that is a that would be
I
a
don't think
potential,
that-
I've never
but still.
used a trash can at a farm
I
stand
think
personally.
they should just take that out.
Me too.
Yeah, okay,
Agreed.
let's extend.
This is one of the shortest ones I found, though, just so you know. I mean, there's some that are really intricate.
And then it goes to section B, fees. The annual fee to operate a farm stand shall be established in the town's fee schedule and will cover the period January 1st of the calendar year to December
I don't
31st.
even think we need that.
Fees will not be prorated.
No, it's gonna, so it would be a permit fee,
It's-
just like anybody else. The
Well, they
min- the
have to
minimum
get a
permit
Business,
fee.
business, we might want to mention that, well, I think we should put somewhere in our, on a separate note, I think we should put something in our land use ordinance that states that any business operating annually needs to go in front of the select board for their business license, because we don't even refer to the business license.
Well, I think that's why this started with license instead of permit, but I think
Right.
that's a fork in the road. I mean, do we really want to do that for a farm stand? I don't know.
And I think they do, because we're gonna be taxing them for personal property, because we already tax
Oh,
random.
you are?
Yeah, occupation, we have to
Okay.
tax,
Yeah.
so,
If you're gonna want them to go before the select board, then we need to like nail that down a little bit more, because I know that permits come, I mean,
it needs.
There's no
to be
evidence that they've gone through your office.
That's the thing, is that, sometimes I'll hear about something during a meeting, and I'll be like, oh, well, we don't even have a home occupation for this
Right.
business that's going in front of the board, so we need to.
it needs to start in your office.
And then they need to provide proof that they got approved by either my office
Right.
or Kathy's, well, the planning board, and go from there.
This is my personal thought. I think that's too much for a farm stand. I think that it should be a permit with a minimum permit fee, and we know where it is and it's safe.
Right.
But I think that's a select board decision. Do they want to have these as businesses and have a business license, or do they want to run it just as a permit?
Just because of one-offs.
Yeah,
Well, they did just approve a farm stand at their last meeting, even though we don't have it as a
as a
approved
use. Okay.
This is my example of
Yeah,
why these
yeah,
things
yeah.
need to start in your
Yeah,
office.
Yeah.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
that needs to be tightened.
Those
up.
business
Okay.
license hearings are meaningless if they end up being home occupations or farm.
Right.
I didn't hear about half of them.
Well,
And
it's
then I'll be like,
not the
what are you
right,
talking
it's
about?
not the right flow.
No,
Right.
It is
Well,
a business, you know.
It is a business.
Now, if you're gonna allow it in the rural area, you have to say that.
Okay. So it is a license, so that board can go back to license then. and then it does go to the select board for a business license, which is a minimal fee.
I
It's
think
not
it's
a
like
lot.
$10.
It's not a lot.
$10 a year,
$10.
yeah.
And we need to make sure that they visit the code officer so that they can make sure they have off-street parking and meet the minimum.
Well, any of the business licenses,
Yeah.
if they're home occupations or farm stands, need to start in
with
your
Kate.
office.
Yeah,
Because a home occupation either needs your approval or planning board approval.
Right.
And this now, we're saying, is going to need code approval, so they need to start in your office.
yeah.
And that might be language that we need to update to the actual business
Form.
license.
Yes, it needs to,
Yeah.
do you have your code
Yeah.
Yeah.
or planning board
I think,
approval?
yeah, because right now, the way it is, it's just, they're just going straight to the clerks, and the clerks are letting them fill out the paperwork, and then it goes over to the manager's office, and it gets on an agenda.
Right.
So there needs to be some sort of checkbox for, depending on the type of business, this is what it requires.
The clerk can do it, just
Yeah.
goes right to your office.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So do we want to discuss zones?
When you talk
We
about
need
a
to
permit
discuss
fee,
yeah,
what's it gonna cost the town?
right.
I mean,
Right.
if we have to send out a code enforcement officer to
Right.
check everything out, that's
So
code, that's
for
code.
me and myself, and Randy, obviously, so, we have a minimum $50 permit.
Yeah, that's what the home occupation thing
Yeah,
is.
so
it's 50.
minimum $50 permit is based off of square footage, 30 cents a square foot, basically. So it's gonna be about $50, and that's a one-time permit for us. However, yearly, they will have to go in front of the select board for $10. But it's not that, it's.
Yeah,
It would be the same thing if they were just having a shed for my office. It's not going to be like a huge cost. And it's
Covers
only a
your hours,
one-time inspection, one-time permit.
so $60 the first year, $10 every year afterwards. I mean,
Yeah,
that's pretty,
basically.
fairly low bar,
Yeah.
Just covers your time to go out there.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, especially since you just, and they're going to be making a profit. Anybody
Yeah.
that would be building a shed would be spending $50, and they're not
Exactly.
doing that for a profit. They're
Right,
just
right,
building a
right.
shed.
The business license was explained to me when we took that on, and it had to do with COVID. It was in conjunction with that, and that we needed to know how many businesses there were in the town. And so that's what I was told when I came in here and said, the state, was all over this. So I think in keeping with that culture, it sort of creates consistency.
I think that's the end goal with all of this, is at some point, this needs to get all streamlined so that we're all working on the same page. And I think the whole idea with the business license is also, the town is the one that's responsible for taxing personal property. So it's all supposed to kind of weave together. So the business license comes in, that should trigger the code officer looking at whatever that is to make sure that it doesn't require planning board or any other kinds of permitting. And, here's a copy for the assessor so that he knows that there's actually a business there. That's how it's supposed to work. It's just a small town that's just now starting getting that staff. We only see the assessor once a month. So that's the disconnect, but that can be taken care of even with the folks we have now. We just need to get a process. So that it's all, because I've sat in a select board meeting where something has gotten a business license, and I thought, I haven't seen that, or I don't know, should that have, and it may not trigger planning board, but it should at least be the first stop. Or it may not require another permit.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah.
a business that we all know has been around for a long time,
Right.
but the new ones definitely need to come.
Well, if it's accountant, DBA that's using an office in his house, that's
Right.
not our issue. But technically, it's a home occupation.
home occupation.
Yeah, it still should at least go through our office, right?
Because these things grow, and if you read
Yes.
the home occupation ordinance, it's to ensure that there aren't multiple cars going there.
Yes, and
So
so
there is a
two
difference.
people come from two different, now all of a
Right.
sudden you've got a
Yeah.
parking lot.
Right.
I get it.
So
That's the disconnect.
So do you need us to discuss zones?
Yeah, you can, I mean, it's Kate's
Because
problem.
in the,
I would
eventually
think
in the
it's
table,
rural.
we're going to have to put
Yeah.
it in different zones, so it's
Yeah.
permitted use. And-
I mean, realistically, I would have them allowed anywhere but shoreline zoning or,
Village,
yeah, even village,
it's too tight.
shoreline zoning,
I would think
village.
they do anywhere, right?
There was one,
I mean, even a village, that would mean I can't do it, and I'm kind of away from
Yeah.
the
it.
woman in the old night house, the Bessie's house. What was the
I think shoreline is realistic.
name of that woman that had the little
Betsy.
bakery?
Oh,
Bessie's.
oh,
And also, obviously, resource protection.
that's more guy.
Marie.
Right, Marie's Kitchen.
Marie's Kitchen. She had a little farm stand there, and that was kind of nice, people walking by buying stuff.
So just not the shoreland. So-
Yeah,
Well, that is
This-
shoreland.
That is
Right?
as well, yeah.
But part of it is, part of it isn't.
Right.
Just like
I
the
mean, so
golf
if you
course,
have a
that's
large
shoreline
lot, I
zoning.
mean, I
Right,
think you
right.
don't want to
250
be
feet.
within the 250 feet. You don't want all these extra cars driving in within that
What about a
250 feet.
non-commercial shoreland?
I think we're getting a little too specific here. I think if it's something maybe you guys want to discuss as far, it's gonna be a tiny minuscule little
Yeah.
spot, right?
Yeah.
So as long as they meet the setbacks and it's not going to be like a crazy outdoor type of display, and that's something we definitely should consider, having actual outside displays on top of the building. We can say we only have it,
I mean, as an accessory use? Or-
yeah, so for like the village district, because I know that we're trying to keep that kind of, very tidy compared to, up the road or wherever, in a rural farm area. Maybe we would have to have some type of standard stating that we are not allowing outside displays in the village district, if we want to allow them there, or if we,
Too
it's up,
complicated.
or we have to have some type of buffer around, I don't know, it's up to you guys.
I think we're getting too
I
complicated.
say it'll just allow it across the board.
I think that it really added culture
I
when they
I
have
would
that
love
little
to
farm
see
stand
the
there.
farm
That was
stand
cute.
in the village, really, I think it makes Naples whatever.
I'm fine
thinks
with it, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
down the road, we might get something where somebody is upset about what we approved, so I'm just,
What about limited residential shoreline land? Is that someplace where you want them?
Limited, what?
That limited residential, there's limited residential and there's limited commercial.
There's limited residential.
Yeah, yeah. There's stream protection, limited residential, limited commercial. Those are all shoreland zoning districts.
on top of the regular
So
250.
we're the top of the regular 250. I'm not really that afraid of farm stands, to be honest with you. I think
I
that,
mean, this is stuff agricultural that has to be grown,
Yeah.
whatever, on that site.
yeah.
So if
Yeah,
they,
that's part of
it's
it.
gonna
if
be
it's,
very
if
tricky to
it's,
even find a place.
shoreland, they're not gonna be having this big farm on the shoreline.
Yeah.
Right.
Could I just wonder, where some neighborhoods would have a covenant prohibiting this, should there be a check off on the application
Yeah.
that indicates that they need to prove that it is allowed in their neighborhood, or that there are no covenants restricting
That would
it?
be a discussion with the select board, because that's their ordinance. It wouldn't have anything that I would review. It would be something that the select board,
No, but
because
if you're reviewing it first, if you're going to be issuing the permit, the burden of proof is on them to
So-
show.
that would be up to, it's gonna be the business license that's annual, correct? So
Right.
every time, it's a one-time thing for me.
Okay.
And then I never look at any type of deeds unless it's something that the planning board specifically signed off on for that site plan. I cannot get involved in the deeds. However, the select board at their annual review
Right.
of the application can ask that they provide that information, because they're gonna be notifying abutters anyway.
So are you in a homeowners association? Are farm stands allowed in your association?
Right.
Yeah,
Type of
Something like
thing.
that.
that would be an annual thing too, because they obviously
Right,
could change.
but it could be the initial too, I mean,
Well,
just so that they
that's-
know, they don't have to go through this whole
Yeah.
dog and pony show, and then they find out that it's
Yeah.
not
Well,
even
it
allowed.
should be on the business license. Are you part of a homeowners association?
That will be at theirs, because they're gonna contact the abutters for
Realize they
that.
should check in.
I know,
Yeah.
some people don't
It goes with
know.
the effort.
Right.
Yeah.
That should be right on the first thing that they receive.
On the application.
Yeah.
For the business,
Yeah.
For something.
And then that
Just
way.
needs to be somewhere.
I think it should be on that because they're gonna go to the clerks first and they're gonna pick up the application. And if
Right,
if it's not allowed in their association, then you can't do it.
Right.
That should be for the
They
same
don't
for
want
any
to find
business.
that out after they've spent the
They've done.
money to notify all the
Right.
abutters either. They,
Right,
just to,
okay.
Gives them a chance to go to the association and say, hey, can I do this?
Yes.
Let me
Yeah.
do
Right.
And,
this,"
yeah,
Before they even come here.
and they may say, yeah, that's fine.
To avoid upheavals.
Association.
does anyone else have any other comments on farm stand, or Kathy, do you need anything else at this
Suppose you
point?
have something like a Beast Feast, free.
Say that
What was
again?
that?
You know, Beast Feast in
It's
Richmond,
the hot sauce, isn't it?
No,
just there's barbecue sauces and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
See?
okay.
made in the home,
Okay. So are you asking if something like that would be allowed?
because they, Route 302, they put up a billboard, Beast Feast, Saturday, free, samples.
Oh,
Well, that's kind of like,
That's really more like a business.
it's more like an event type of
Yeah.
Yeah, one
sign,
off.
and that's also through the
I
select
do that
board.
like twice a year.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that would also fall under the commercial kitchen type of scenario where it would almost be a home occupation, but they could have a farm stand, but it would have to support our state statutes regarding that type of bottling center, because they're a pretty big outfit.
but to your point earlier that this be part of the same question as repealing the food sovereignty, I think that's really important.
Important,
Because
yeah.
I think it also, not only do we
Yeah.
not want to have this with that or whatever, but I think it also, just for the voters' understanding, is that we're not taking away a right, we're putting it in a different way,
Right.
ensuring public health, safety kind of
I
thing
think
is
what
what
we
our
should
goal
do
is.
is scrap that food sovereignty ordinance and take some of that language and put it in here in a manner that doesn't keep the state from being a part of, we may not use the word food sovereignty, but the right to grow produce, et cetera, yada, yada.
Do you think, well, let's just move on, that's the next one on
So-
the
Well, we
agenda,
didn't
so-
do the insurance part.
Yeah, I
sorry.
would get rid of that. That's there because Gray has their own farmer's market that's on town property. That's what that's about.
The
So
insurance.
that can go, the insurance, yeah.
Why don't I see that?
That's on
Because
the-
it's on another page.
Yeah, it's on another page.
See.
It's C, insurance?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, it's right.
yeah.
okay, but it's on, all right, I get it.
That's just there because they have a town parcel with a farmer's market on it.
And then you turn it over to the food service.
Yeah,
So-
Oh, it's right here.
so you're saying we need to keep this, the licensee shall provide written evidence?
I like what Sue's saying about maybe bringing some of this into the other so that they realize that they're still able to do stuff. It's
Yeah.
just going on a different place, maybe.
Yeah.
Like maybe having some of the definitions might be good if we incorporate that.
You could, like on number 2, you could get rid of the word unimpeded and say something like access to local food products to ensure public safety.
Yeah, yep.
Ensure public safety.
So we could add a purpose section, a definition section,
Yeah, so they're kind of like that.
set it up in the same format.
The farm stand one is gonna, it's the formatted like the.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's always good to have a purpose statement and some definitions too.
now this is going to go somewhere in the actual land use ordinance, though?
Yeah, we gotta figure out where
Where it's
that's
gonna
gonna go.
We could create a new section for it?
Yeah, I think it's a new section.
Does the sale of camp firewood count?
I was literally just thinking that in my mind, you read my mind.
Well, so we have that agricultural definition, and I'm trying to think of what that says. That might even touch on that.
I don't like where definitions are.
Yeah.
Agricultural.
definitions in 400.
I think we could change the definition a bit, kind of overall for farm stand. We could say adhering to our agricultural definition and then adding whatever we think.
Well, agriculture is a lot more encompassing, though. You're talking about chickens and cows and stuff like that. I mean, I think,
So eggs, so any type of like products.
They don't regulate eggs. You can
No,
say,
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. We can have that as like something basically based off of what we allow agriculturally. And then rather than just stating, what does it say?
I think farm stand is a new definition.
Farm, garden. So, I mean, do we even have farm defined? Not really. So, I think,
I think farm stand is a separate, it's different than the agricultural definition. I think that ag is cows and it's a farm. This is something that they might do as an accessory to their farm, have a farm stand. But I think it's a separate definition. Kind of like you guys define flea market, which is a totally different animal, but I think it's a distinct use. That doesn't mean that a farm can't have a farm stand, it's just a different
does
use.
some of this language need to go into the farm definition?
There is no farm
There's-
definition, there's just an agricultural.
I mean, agricultural
Yeah,
definition.
maybe.
Just to help people know that it's not,
yeah. because
all we're
farm,
trying to
but-
do is increase the sanitation. We're not
Yeah.
taking anything else away.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, so it sounds like maybe some of this goes in agricultural.
Do you have to be defined? I mean, I just wonder, like, if somebody has just a really big vegetable garden, they're
Right.
not really agricultural, and they might very well want a
They
farm
want to sell some
stand.
cucumbers.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I don't want to make it too farm-like, or too ag-like, I guess. But as far, can we just add an extra number, or use one of these reserved spots that we're not using?
Oh, we're talking about where.
Where to put it? I mean, after we define it, do we,
Like 712 is reserved or something like that.
yeah, but reserve,
What it was
it's been,
reserved
some of
for.
these things have been reserved for a long time, and we're not doing anything with them.
I wish there was something close to mobile vendors or somewhere in that area where it would make more sense
I know.
than just sticking it at the end.
Or just, do we just
So
create?
there is,
Because all the 400s are definitions, 500s are districts, 600s are standards, 700s are signs. Well, 800s are street vendors. Do we have, is that what you were just saying? Do we make it like a 800 something?
805, hold on. I think maybe 8, oh, shoot, no. 809,
no, there's a whole state statute on farm stands.
806.
I wish this was on the website in a way where you clicked on a page
You
and it
could
brought you
search
to
it,
the
yeah.
page or something. This is driving me crazy.
So there isn't a state definition for farm stands under MRSA 416. It says definition. A farm stand means a roadside stand at which the locally grown farm products are offered for direct sale to the public, and that is operated by a farmer or by a person who purchases the majority of the products sold at the farm stand from farmers.
Which is a retail, just like,
Very.
it's not a farm stand. We don't have to use the state's definition.
No. Products.
So section 800 has all kinds of sections, farmer's market.
Could we do 813 farmers market and farm stands or something like that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then you keep the 2 for the farmers markets and then add, it feels like it fits more there.
Yeah, or you do 813 and then subsection A is farmer's market.
Market and subsection B is farm stands, that's what I mean.
Yeah, maybe there.
Yeah.
Usually though, a farmer's market sells a lot more stuff than,
Well, there's another one that goes farmer's market, which actually, okay, so farmer's market means building a structure or place used by two or more farmers for the direct sale of farm and food products to consumers at which sellers of farm and food products meet the requirements of the subsection. Farm and food products means any agricultural, horticultural, forest, or other product of the soil or water, including but not limited to fruits, vegetables, eggs, dairy products, meat and meat products, poultry and poultry products, fish and fish products, grain and grain products, honey, nuts, maple products, apple cider, fruit juice, malt liquor, wine, ornamental or vegetable plants, nursery products, fiber or fiber products, firewood, and Christmas trees.
So I think that farmer's market to me is two or more vendors.
Yeah,
And a farm stand is you, yourself, and your
Right.
farm.
right.
So I think we could put it under that section, like you said, with an A for farmer's market and B for farm stand, or maybe it's the opposite, farm stand is one person.
Right.
So put the farm stand and then B, farmer's market, two or more vendors in, one location. Right now, the town doesn't have a farmer's market, right?
Right.
So that's why I think they just kind of put it there as a placeholder.
We have it on and off.
Do you? Okay. All right, so maybe farmer's market needs some tweaking too, because this is written specifically for a town. I mean, I could see two or more farmers doing that, but I think it's two different things.
Yeah, we had it
Yeah.
up here at Thai Barn,
Yep,
and it
That's-
was too hot up there.
Yeah.
It's my,
Black
I
salt.
went, I
Yeah.
tried to buy stuff from them every week, and it was sufferingly
hot.
hot.
yeah.
So then they moved down to Dan LaJoy's parking lot, down to 302 and
Yeah.
35. And then, but it was still the town's farmer's
Town's
market
farmer's
on
market,
his
okay.
property, just because it was more marketable.
Right,
But do we keep the definition that
For farmer's
Kate did of all the products that she wrote, that she read
So
about?
I just
No.
emailed Kathy and Martina, just because Martina's the chair. So they can kind of hash it out in between, as long as it's something that the select board wants us to do. Just so you guys have that reference.
I think it should say state, as allowed by state statute, as it changes from time to time. Otherwise, you're gonna have, every time they change their mind, it's
And
gonna
this gives
get,
you the actual number
Yeah.
too. which is-
yeah.
So if you just say it's to state statute, the state statute changes.
Yeah,
it
and I
automatically
don't wanna
changes.
reference the statute either, because they'll repeal it and they'll change the number, and then we have a, change it again. It'd be an administrative change, but who's keeping up with all of that?
I know.
and you don't want to have them selling wine and alcoholic beverages.
That's a liquor
Yeah, that's a whole
license.
different.
Yeah.
license anyways.
Of, yeah,
In the definition. of
Yeah, it was
food.
long.
And that was, yep. So that's more of like a collective farmer's market, but we could steal some of that, but it's up to you guys.
we can just add, cannabis or
Yeah.
alcohol, something
Right,
like
just
that
like-
to
yeah,
cover
just
that,
say that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll do some wordsmithing. I'll try putting it in that section, but first we'll wait till June 9th to make sure that they want us to work on it before I
Right.
spend a bunch of
The
time.
winery is also a business.
Yeah, it's a different kind.
Well, you might want to remind them, they already gave
I
a
did
business
remind
license.
them.
They already gave business license to a farm stand, so
Yeah,
we gotta work on it.
yeah.
Okay, so I guess we already kind of ended up discussing the food sovereignty ordinance as well, or do we still need to discuss that separately?
I'll try pulling some of that in.
Okay.
Right.
Because
So that
ultimately,
so it doesn't feel like you're axing something.
Right,
It
right.
feels like you're just repackaging it.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be repealed, and then we're gonna put some verbiage
And
around
so you could say
it.
repeal and replace the
Right.
food sovereignty ordinance with a new farm stand ordinance, which
Yeah.
will allow,
Yeah.
or whatever.
yeah, because that's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay.
Okay.
So
And then
the
if people ask, and I don't know the answer to this question, but I would really love it if your ordinances were voted on during the town meeting where people can ask questions, right? Because I was nervous yesterday because it's secret ballot And no one, I listened when people came in, they're coming in to register their car, they find out it's election day. They haven't read any of the ordinances, right? And so then they're coming down to vote on things that they don't know and they can't ask questions. So I wish that the ordinance were part of where you're having town meeting and you can ask
It
questions.
always was.
Yeah.
And that's been changed as most recently.
Because it doesn't make sense to me to have something, a secret ballot is when you're voting for president or school budget or whatever, that you don't have any control over, right? But for me, it feels like if it's not a council form of government where the council's been elected to make ordinance changes, it's a select board, then there should be an opportunity to have questions. Because you have a public hearing for, then we do hold a public hearing here, but it's not very,
That's
I think we
yeah,
can do that.
yeah, it's well intended,
If
yeah.
they won't change, if they won't change that,
Yeah.
then there needs to be a public hearing, 2 of them, prior to a ballot that has ordinance changes on it.
There are.
was.
There are.
At-
We have
at
one
the
at the
planning
planning board
board.
and one at select board. Nobody
But it-
comes, nobody reads the
And
stuff.
so
Yeah.
another thing is,
Publicized like it has been in the past. In the past, it was not at a planning board or a select board meeting. It was a very specific public meeting for the upcoming changes.
They are part of that, and the ordinances say that the public hearings need to take place at a planning board meeting or a select board meeting. That's the
for
way it's written.
land use.
For land.
yes.
But it should be maybe a separate meeting
Oh.
where you're not doing other business.
It was
Yeah.
specifically just for that.
It was like a workshop
Yeah.
public hearing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, most towns use the planning board as the public hearing for ordinances, but I could see where we just don't schedule any other
Business.
applications or business on that night, and this is just for ordinance.
And I think one of the driving factors to the change that they made on the town meeting was because nobody cared for voting.
Yeah,
Now we have the clickers.
yeah.
Well,
So-
true.
Right, and it was like very publicly announced what your vote was. And
Yeah.
I think that's where
That's true.
people got a little, eh,
Gee.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so, I mean.
They were contentious votes regarding zoning changes.
It was, yeah,
Precipitated that
just
change.
very, they had to actually outwardly show what they were
Yeah.
voting. So I think it made people a little nervous.
Yeah. The only one I was really concerned about was LD 2003, because we already got the 10,000, the state already sent us the money and we hadn't passed it yet. So, the other ones I wasn't as concerned about. But it just seemed like we held a public hearing in New Gloucester for the ordinance changes, and there was a lot of questions for some of them. And I'm like, I feel like everybody was going in with those questions not answered yesterday. Turned out okay in the end, but, so maybe we just need to have a different type of public hearing just for
I would love to have
ordinances.
a public hearing when more people come.
Yeah.
The other thing is,
Yeah.
have we ever posted in the past what the ballot looks like on the town
Yeah,
it's
it's on
website?
there.
It wasn't on there yesterday's.
It's part
That
of the-
always
Fastest
has
been
been
posted
on there.
in the office, and you can pick up a copy beforehand.
But
Yeah.
if, you should be able to link
The
and see.
sample ballot.
Sample
We used to have
ballot.
the sample ballot, and we have it on our bulletin board. I don't know, because I haven't been working as closely with the clerks as I have in the past, so, it should have been on there.
I didn't look, I know it's.
It's probably under a different section, because our
No,
website has.
I looked, and actually, when I came in, I asked,
It might be under like,
and she said it wasn't on there.
oh, okay.
It's on
I
there.
don't know.
I think
Is
it's
it?
on there.
Yep.
Yeah, I
It was
think
under
it's on there.
voting.
Under
Well,
the
what-
voting,
Elections.
Yeah.
then
Voting
you have to
elections.
click on it, but it shows you all the samples.
Yeah, they're required to post
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
All right, well then
And it has to be physical and someplace
Yeah.
else.
yeah.
The problem is, no matter what you do,
it's not gonna be
you're
enough.
gonna show up at town meeting,
Yeah.
wanting
Oh,
every
for sure.
single ordinance explained to them.
That's
You'll
true,
be there all day long.
that's true. That's true,
Yeah, that's
It's
why
usually
we
the
used to
same
do the
people,
block
too.
voting.
yeah.
Just as a point to bring up again, David Allenson from the Umbrella Factory has agreed to put a bulletin board with a cup glass on it and have public notices down there, which I think would help exposure considerably.
Yeah.
And he's willing to do that. The town needs to put talk to him about the case, put it down there and put a little lock on it so people can't change it.
Yeah.
But that would be a nice-
Off-site, we used to stick it at Martin's in Gray, if it was something really important.
Yeah, I think.
If not for everything or every meeting, but if it was something we knew everybody wanted to know about, Martin's was the place.
Yeah, or the ballot.
yeah.
I think we used to do the library and, yeah, we used to do the library and I thought Tony's, but I don't know.
It's a good point. Should be posted someplace else.
Are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Update Appendix A.
It's actually all the appendixes, so I think I probably misspoke, but Appendix A, I did fix it, it was a mess. Because it had been cut and pasted so many times that it got moved around and it wasn't even legible. So I think we're okay with the Appendix A design standards. I think it's the other appendix that we talked about just getting rid of. I kind of like Appendix B, but it's really hard to read. If I could fix those, the words so they were more legible, I wouldn't be uptight with keeping B. And then C, all the Cs have gotta go. And I don't think that developers need that because they're hiring an engineer to make plans. C, all the sketch plan ones, those look like something that were done in the 1970s and 80s, maybe 90s.
I've never even heard of.
So I think all of these need to just get rid of these pages and make sure there's no references to them. That's the one thing I haven't done in the ordinance where it says C, Appendix C or whatever, get rid of that. But I just like the final plan, sample final plan that's on, has 132 on the bottom. That's nothing like a final plan. Unfortunately, the world is much more complicated than that now. So I think we just get rid of those. I don't think that a person that's coming in for a major subdivision needs to have a sample.
Well, the thing is, we tell people, hey, check out the last year of submissions, they're right on our website,
Yeah.
and so they can get samples right from there, and even the names of the people that design them, and then they can get the contractors that way, or consultants that way, to do.
And you can have somebody with a CAD capability
Make this
draw that.
nice. The reason why I like this is I do like when it shows a sample street with the walkway, and it gets it kind of in your head that if you're building to this standard,
Yeah.
you're building a sidewalk, and you're maybe having an esplanade or something. So if we could get someone to make this a little bit cleaner.
You know what, I bet you anything DOT probably has something great that we can utilize.
Yeah.
Which one are you talking about that you
Just-
like?
Appendix B.
B, okay.
Yeah, that shows the cross-section of what a road looks like.
Oh, okay.
Minor Street, Collector Street, Arterial Street.
Oh.
Just redraw it with a CAD.
Oh,
'cause,
all right.
Yeah.
You can tell that this was done by somebody,
Redraw this.
by hand, and then they wrote
Right.
some
Yeah.
things on there.
Okay.
I'd like to get a cleaner example of this, but at first I was just like, get rid of it altogether, it's right in table A, right? But some people are visual, and I think it reinforces the sidewalk aspect of a complete street. Even though you don't have a complete street ordinance, it does show what your standards are in visual form.
Okay. So you don't really need anything from us other than.
As long as you're
kind of
okay with
thinking
Nixon,
that's
all of
okay.
the C sample plans, yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Does anybody have any other comments on that one?
But then we move on
Okay.
to performance guarantees.
Yeah. Subdivision performance guarantees, new business, yeah.
So this is just a really first brush at this. You do have a pretty decent performance guarantee and ordinance, but the last words from Jason was that they want us to work on subdivision and performance guarantees. And I think when they say that, it's more working on it to make sure we actually have them. But I think this is a good opportunity for us to at least start looking at this and see if we actually did it the way that it's written, is it sufficient, I guess. And you guys have been here longer than I have, so I don't know all of the stories of things that didn't get done or didn't get finished or should have had more money. I know fire protection is part of that.
So is this what you
This is
passed
what
out?
we have
This is what we
now.
have now.
This is what we have now, which I didn't think was awful.
Yeah, I know. It's been like, wow.
to be honest with you. So on the 9th, I'm gonna try to get clarification if they just wanted us to make sure we do this, or is there something specific that they think isn't working?
Is the issue that's been raised, like every select board meeting by that man and that woman about, was it the stormwater?
That's kind of related.
Is that what precipitated this?
Nope, I think it was more of subdivisions that either didn't get finished because they went bankrupt and there wasn't sufficient money to finish the road or the fire pond or the
Well, the-
cistern or whatever was required.
But that's what they're saying, wasn't sufficient
Yeah.
monies to cover that, so
Right.
it's really more of enforcement rather than the,
And if you look at what happened with the golf course,
Yes,
when they accepted something, and it was worthless,
yeah. So,
it should go to a bank.
yeah,
Somebody located in Maine that's got significant assets.
yeah. So the problem with the bond is that they expire. So some of them expire in a year, or some of them expire in 5 years. They can be renewed, and what should happen is they're either renewed or else you don't get any more building permits until you get it renewed. So construction would stop if you don't get it renewed.
So-
The reality is that subdivisions cost a lot of money and no one's gonna come up with $600,000 worth of cash in most cases. I have seen it happen, but in most cases. So that speaks to whether or not there needs to be more for maybe some kind of phasing, where you get lots 1 through 6 and you submit cash escrow for that. And then once you complete that, you submit escrow for the next phase. I mean, so it's kind of a bigger conversation. I don't want to make it overly complicated, and there's a lot already in here, but we just need to make sure.
It sounds like there needs to be triggers that
Yeah.
bring something back for review.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're saying that the bonds expire, then, so, if something comes to the planning board, we give them approval, they give us whatever they give us, but
Yeah.
then we don't ever, what is the process? What's the follow-up? We don't ever.
So what's supposed to happen, and this is another thing that needs to be worked on, is there should be some sort of escrow spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet would have each subdivision listed and what they provide, whether it was cash, letter of credit, or bond, and if there's an expiration date for that bond, those bonds should go in a safe somewhere, and then when that bond gets close to being expired, like 2 or 3 months ahead, you contact the contractor and say, hey, your bond's expiring, we need a new one. And if we don't get a new one, by the time it expires, then you get no more building permits. That's, or COs. You can really, if you want to be really mean, you could say no certificate of occupancy because they're already building the house. That's really the only leverage the town has. So what's happened in other cases is the person goes bankrupt, the bond expires, you've sold 6 houses, those people don't have their final pavement or their stormwater or whatever it is, and now what do? And so I think it's mostly a tracking thing, and having someone here that's full-time to create that spreadsheet, and I need to do that. And then that's a conversation, or when the escrow starts to get, let's say they've escrowed for something and costs have gone up a lot, we need to revisit that. If paving's gone up 24% and we've collected this much, we may need more than that. And that's where phasing is helpful. A lot of times, they would put up the entire bond for the entire project, but then when they get, one way to do it other than just making the subdivision in phases, which is another layer of complexity, is to just say you gotta bond the whole thing, but when you get once you get base gravel down and all of that done, then you can reduce it with a letter from your engineer saying that this is what's been done, we'd like to have our bond reduced, or we'd like to have our letter of credit reduced, or we'd like to get some of our cash escrow back, because we've already finished this much of infrastructure. So there's ways to do it, but it's really just a tracking process and making sure it actually happens.
And I think.
And I'm still getting phone calls from Gray. Where's that letter of whatever?
Oh, okay.
So, where in the safe is this bond? So it's just really just having a tracking system.
Seems more internal.
And I think also, like,
Yeah.
not allowing, I mean, with the fire suppression thing, this is an important aspect of it, that
Yeah.
not giving, if something's phased in,
Yeah.
so there's 2 or 3 houses
Yeah.
built, the fire suppression
Yeah.
needs to be in place for those 2 or 3 houses, regardless of whether or not.
Certificate of occupancy
Yeah.
shouldn't go out unless the fire, and that's a big part of phasing too, is that the fire cistern must be in on phase 1. not phase 3.
Right.
You know, it needs to be done at the beginning. And that, once again, that's just coordination. Like, I think what you just said is this sounds like an internal issue and not an ordinance issue.
Right.
I think that's probably true. I think what's in the ordinance gives us sufficient ability to require what's needed. So I think that's what I'll present.
Sadly, there are lenders that don't always get that certificate of occupancy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hold the funds up.
That's true too.
So the funds is where this implementation really has something to it. I think the building permit is where you can't start building until you meet X criteria for the infrastructure.
I agree. I don't think we should even give out building permits
I
until
feel like that's a really hard
infrastructure is
line, and
Yeah.
I feel bad to do that, but
They can sell the lots.
I also have.
I worry about that though
In
too.
our town, we have a lot of inferior roads.
Yeah.
That need a lot of maintenance because drainage wasn't done right from the beginning. So, I mean, we'll let people do what they want to do with their land, but we do
Me
have to
too.
consider the safety.
Yeah.
Okay, what did you say, that no building permit should be issued until all the infrastructure?
Not
What did you just say?
all.
So.
Because you'll never-
up to-
No, I
Yeah,
just-
so it would have to be whatever that phase requires. So they can sell the lots all day. But the building permits themselves, I mean, we've seen it multiple times, even just this year, because all these old lots are getting sold on
Old subdivisions.
old subdivisions that never even, they already had tons of building permits and COOs in the beginning, and then they just never followed through because either they sold, people died, like there's all these
Well,
different
then do we
factors.
have to, as the planning board, I mean, does the ordinance need to change in a way that, because we have, and I'm
Are
just
you
thinking
guys-
about all
Yeah.
the things that we have before us right now, and I know it would affect them. But do we, if a subdivision has multiple lots, do we have to, should we be asking the developer to define what the phase is so that we
That
know what
phase.
we're approving this phase and this phase, so that you know which building, what needs to be completed
It would
before
be
you.
helpful.
So subdivisions, like with 15 lots, are they gonna put them all in at once? I don't know.
Because I've heard occupancy all the time, when you guys would pass motions, not you guys in general, but I'm just saying the planning board in general would say, oh, no occupancy until this is, so what will happen is the developer is able to build, do everything on their own, they sell it, and then they don't have the occupancy, and so it's already sold. And so they still don't quite have the occupancy, but I can't say, oh yeah, here's your occupancy because you're,
I think,
Yeah.
I worry even
That would
about,
happen in a cash sale situation.
yeah,
too.
yeah.
yes.
I worry about even transfer of title, and I've seen conditions of approval, no transfer of title until the town receives escrow in the amount of whatever. Because then you have a buyer that's not happy, right? They own the lot, and they can't get a building permit, so I think the planning board, I think, once again, this sounds like internal controls more than ordinance problems, but like when a major subdivision comes along, ideally, they bond or escrow the entire project. But if they say, oh, I can't do that, then we can say, well, how about lots 1 through 10, right? And have your engineer give us a cost estimate with, there's a percentage in here that you need to pad it for inflation.
Right.
And then you can bond that, but you only get building permits for lot 1 through 10, and the fire cistern needs to be in before you issue those permits. So I think it's, once again, more of an internal thing, again, that just needs to happen. I think some of the cases, and it's not just Naples, in Gray, I got stuck with a lot of 06 subdivisions in 2020 that went bust, either died, moved to Florida, bankrupt, and now they're not finished and we have no escrow, right? So, but what should happen is that the new developer or whoever buys these lots, before you get the building permits, now you gotta submit some escrow. So it should just transfer to the next developer, whoever that may be. That's hard to do, and it's really hard to do when the town sells the lots as individual lots themselves. So that's a big problem, because now you've kind of, because the town has become what? The developer, in a way. So,
A little wiry.
yeah,
Hey, something you just said, I thought,
yeah,
brought up an idea for me. There are construction companies, contractors that could come in and provide all the money that we would require up front and say, look, we just want to go at this full bore.
Yeah.
And you've got all our money, and we're going to start building infrastructure and houses all at the same time.
Yeah.
And as long as we have the security
yeah.
then fine.
Fine.
If that's how you want to run your
Yeah.
business, that's great. But to also make it affordable for the person that isn't the big-time guy, the long-time resident of Naples that wants to cut off a few lots.
Yeah.
Whatever they're proposing in the first, if it's 3 lots, if it's 10 lots,
Yeah.
the infrastructure needs to be there, and it could be that, you may not have a road extended for a turnaround, but you'd have to have a hammerhead. That hammerhead
Yeah.
could be a future driveway once the turnaround is
Yeah.
in.
Right.
But as long as there's sufficient safety measures
Yeah.
that are there, it makes it affordable
Yeah.
for them to just put in this much, sell a few homes,
Yeah.
give them the money to then move forward. So we haven't become a town that's unobtainium except for
Yeah.
large corporations.
Agreed.
Because we do have a lot of quality builders around that just may not have that kind of overhead.
And I think so far here, I've only run into minor subdivisions where they were gonna have their own driveways. Fine, as long as you got a culvert that meets the road commissioner and, Public Works, AKA Building Department, great. But if they got a shared road, now you're having a different conversation. You need to at least have a hammerhead, constructed. And I think that also,
And the right base. You
and the
may
right
not have
base.
top.
Yeah.
As long as you've got a base
Base.
that's gonna stand up through mud season.
yeah. Yep, and that's part of a bigger conversation. I am gonna at some point meet with the fire chief and talk about the fire suppression ordinance, because you don't want people to have too much water too. Gray went crazy and 10,000 base, 2,000 per each additional lot, and then at some point, 26 lots, do you really need 100,000 gallon? You know what I mean?
And
At some point, it's unaffordable.
Well, what
So,
happens is that
Yeah.
it's affordable, but the cost of the sale of that house to the consumer
goes up.
has now made it unaffordable to.
So whatever that ordinance looks like, it needs to have final sign off by the fire chief. And if he says, I've already got water over here, I don't need it, then he doesn't need it. It needs to be a comprehensive plan of what you need for water in the ground. And I did already talk to him, and I think that, for a minor 3-lot subdivision, in most cases, if it's, as long as it's close to a fire department or hydrant, he's not gonna require it for the less than certain amount of lots. And there's already a push in the state, remember, you'll remember, because you're a realtor, where they wanted to have every house with a sprinkler system in it. It didn't even matter if it was in a subdivision. And of course, Gorham, Portland, Lewiston, Auburn, those places require that. Now they're talking about making towns get rid of all of that. So we don't wanna go crazy. We wanna make sure that it's reasonable. If there's already water someplace, if there's a hydrant down the street, 3-lot subdivision, let's not make the local Naples resident have to do too much.
But these checks and milestones that you're talking about
Yeah,
don't need to be incorporated into an ordinance. That's more an internal,
I think this is a homework assignment for you guys to read it,
okay?
and then
I-
I'll look at it and talk to the fire chief, but it sounds more like internal controls, and I'll check with the select board. The select board might have something specific in mind that in here that they don't like. Or maybe they're just worried about making sure we have enough money for we don't even do fire ponds anymore. And that's one thing that's good about your ordinance, is it doesn't specifically say what the fire protection is. It says that up to the fire chief, basically, with them sign off. So we don't have to worry about nixing fire ponds that don't work anymore, because they go dry.
So we'll read this, if anybody
Yeah.
has any notes or suggestions,
Yeah.
should we send them to you before that
Please.
meeting with the select board?
Please.
Okay.
I just wanted to get it on the agenda because that was like the last thing that I heard, is that the select board wants us to work on subdivision performance guarantees specifically, so.
And the marine safety one's not being discussed?
I haven't heard anything. I think they're gonna let that run out for a little, then see how things go, and then maybe tweak it later once we have more information.
One thing that hasn't come up
Yeah,
is that the infrastructure completion.
yeah,
We've had a case in the past where it's winter time, there's 3 feet of snow on the ground.
yeah,
And we couldn't inspect the stormwater.
yeah,
So the engineer sends a letter saying it's all been completed.
Yeah.
Well, when the snow melted, it wasn't. And he was
Yeah.
gone, the lots were sold to somebody else, never got done.
yeah. So that's another, that's a whole nother, it seems like right now in Naples is that if the applicant's engineer signs off on something, we're good to go. And, and 9 times out of 10, the applicant's engineer stamps on stuff. They don't want to do something that's not proper. But I would like to have in the fee schedule escrow for peer review by a town's consulting engineer, so that it's not always the applicant's engineer that's signing off. And then I don't, we would have to, that's another conversation, you'd have to go out to bid for an engineer, and then we have to use them exclusively, or do I talk to Steve and see who they use to inspect culverts and stuff like, that type of stuff. I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you, and Naples is at that size where this is very typical of every town this size, but at some point, you gotta ask for more escrow, and you gotta have a contract, and you call Goral Palmer or whoever it is, and you say, hey, we need a report on the road base and the stormwater elements, are they built to plan?
So
I
that's
mean, I
actually
think that
covered.
would be money
Yeah,
well
it is
spent.
covered in there.
For 6
Can
months
the co-
after,
Yeah.
Can the cost of the engineer,
they still have to have
That's
It's-
coverage.
No, it's the applicant pays for that.
yeah, I was gonna say, that would be in their
Yeah.
building permit, whatever,
Yeah.
their
Correct.
subdivision permit.
That's
At the very least, we should be getting reports from their engineer, though, that they were on site, right? I was on site when this was done, the base gravel was correct, or when the storm, we should be getting reports for a subdivision. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, even though they're working for the other party, their stamp is on that plan. They want it built to their plan. So it's not that I'm not being trustworthy, but it needs to be at least one or the other. We need to be getting something saying that it's been finished in writing from either their engineer or a peer review that's coming out to inspect it. And these are all just, once again, internal controls, not uncommon for a town of this size.
I think I can say this.
Yeah.
I think maybe the town, I don't know if the town can do this or not, but in an effort of consumer protection,
Yeah.
if a subdivision is created, can the town, as part of the permitting process, require the contractor to disclose whether that is in the flood zone or not? In the world of real estate now, you cannot move a piece of property without disclosing its flood zone status.
Right.
But if you take something that is cash, private sale,
Yeah.
it never comes up
Yeah.
because the lender's not requiring the flood certificate.
Yeah.
And the insurance company comes out and they'll say, oh yeah, we'll give you insurance.
Yeah.
They're not gonna say, do you think you should get flood? Because they're not gonna want it. They're not gonna come forward with that. I saw that happen to a friend of mine recently where it was cash sale, house was in the flood zone, nobody brought it up, and no flood insurance.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not something that a municipality is responsible for, but in a town where we have a lot of water,
Yeah.
it could be just part of the building process that needs to go on the plan. Lots 5 through 7 are in the flood zone. And then it's buyer beware, but at least the information's there for somebody.
Yeah, that should definitely come up in subdivision review, and it should be something that's, it would say lots 6, 7, and 8 are in flood zone A or whatever it is, and need to have a elevation for, certificate for, and you're not gonna have a basement, that type of stuff. So that should come up in subdivision, but I look at Realtor.com and they have the nice thing where it tells you whether it's in a flood zone, which is a nice thing to have, but people buy things cash, they never see that. But yeah, that would definitely be something that would come out in a subdivision review, and it would be on the final plan. But there's another connect there, is that when something gets approved as a subdivision, that should go, copy of that should go in each property file that's gonna be coming in to pull a permit, right? So that the code officer can see, ooh, this lot's in a flood zone, so that she's making sure she gets the right information to know what she can issue as a permit. But yeah, these are all layers that we're all trying to work on. And Naples is right at that size where you're gonna be over 4,000 in the next census. That triggers adopting a building code and adopting the building code, as well as thinking about maybe starting to issue electrical permits. So, because the state does both residential and commercial electrical permits. So we're just it's just the growing pains size of a town right now.
It's fine.
And we're working on it. I can't promise it all tomorrow.
Why not?
But the escrow thing is a big deal with me. I love spreadsheets and I love escrow. And I told you I'm still getting calls from Gray. What was this for? And I can tell them where in the safe it should be. So I want to work on that. And really, these are the first major subdivisions I'm getting on now, and we're seeing them. And 2 of them, by the way, well, at least one of them is a defunct one from '06 that never got built. So now we got a new developer, they're gonna have to pony up the escrow. So, well, I wouldn't say never got built. One lot got built, and then they didn't have the money to build the road, so.
06 and then 08 came along.
Yeah, exactly. So we all have homework.
By allowing them to create that just small piece of road for maybe the first 2.
Yeah.
It would reduce curb cuts, because a
Yeah.
lot of people you see subdivisions, why is this one outside? Well, that's where they got the money from to put the road
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Was that. So it might, increase the aesthetics.
Yeah. I'm super sensitive to the small builder. I had one in Gray starting out, he could not get a letter of credit for the life of him, right? No one wanted to, not because, it's because it was his first. He'd been building houses, and it's your first subdivision. And so I'm super sensitive to that. And in that particular situation, he did do, I think, the first 2 or 3 houses and built the road to that there until he could get some money in his pocket to finish. And so I am sensitive to that. But at the same time, you got to protect the town from we don't have stormwater and we don't have a fire cistern and we got 20 houses type of scenario, so.
There's just one other thing I wanted to bring up again. I don't know, I can't even remember if we discussed it here or if it was a planning board thing, the 2 are running together. But we don't have a deadline in site plan review from the time somebody comes to the time. So someone can come with a sketch plan review, and then they can wait, 10 years? And come back, literally, and if our ordinances change in such a way that that use is no longer permitted or whatever, it doesn't matter because they came 10 years ago. I think we have deadlines in subdivision. I think that's a problem. I think we should have a
Agreed.
deadline in site plan.
I think that the comment that was planning board, and one of the comments, though, that it's taking DEP and some of the others more than 6 months to get the permits, and I like it when a subdivision waits until they have all of that. I hate giving conditional approvals because then something changes and they gotta come back anyway. So it's better to have everything in hand. So I think we need to talk about that in this group. Maybe it is 6 months, but there's a provision for an extension if in the case of they can't get their DEP permit or whatever, or their DOT permit. But I agree, and sketch plan doesn't necessarily, is not supposed to give people a significant placeholder. It's only until you get a formal application, but that's where the planning board has to be very careful that they don't give assurances, yeah, it looks, good. If they come to sketch plan, looks great, and then they
But it
go and
does
spend
say-
lots of money on a plan, and they come back 8 months later with a nice thick binder because they thought they were good to go. So that's where we need to be careful.
It says in sketch plan, it doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
says clearly that that is not a
Guarantee, right,
It does say that.
Right.
I mean, if we're gonna do that, then I'm
Yeah.
gonna say, I don't even wanna do sketch plan
Yeah.
anymore, because
And-
I'm not
and-
gonna tell you anything.
and so that's why I'm saying we just need to carefully craft our ordinance so that we're not giving any insurances to people, because that sketch plan is very easy at the first meeting, they come in, they show their idea, they got a plan, and everybody nods their head, that sounds like a great idea, and then there's no
But that's
contact
all
for
it
6
is.
months, and they come in with a fully engineered plan that they just spent 50 grand on, you know what I mean? So we need to be careful, because we don't wanna be, you hear what I'm saying?
I do,
So we need
I
to
do,
write,
but
we
so
need to make
either-
sure it's.
I'm gonna read the sketch
Yeah.
plan thing again, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it says that anything that we say there does not guarantee.
Yeah,
And if people feel like that's not strong enough, that that's a guarantee, then I'm going to say, I don't want to do sketch plan
Yeah.
anymore, because there's nothing in it
It's-
for the town
yeah.
at
Yeah,
all. If you're going to hold me to a comment when you come in on something on a napkin,
Yeah.
I don't want to see it.
nope, I hear you, so we need
And
to,
I think having
Yeah.
no deadline is ridiculous.
I think subdivision is very clear and site plan isn't.
Right.
And we need to make site plan clearer.
Right. So that's my opinion on that.
That's all I have to say about
Say about that.
Ruth Buzzy.
Today. So, are we done, we're going to have our next meeting on June 18th?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so we're going to adjourn now?
I move we adjourn.
Is that good? Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank
We're
you.
done. Thanks, Chris.